Hello, Macbigicekeys here, and this is going to be a little bit of a sort of video blog on my C++ experience so far. And even though it's going to annoy me, I'm going to leave this OBS always on top just so I don't mess with code as I'm pausing and starting things. So the very first thing that I tried in C++ is to do a text-based sort of adventure, that sort of game that I remember from like the early days of my experiences on a computer. And this is me coming into this with zero experience whatsoever. So I'm kind of learning as I go, and I learned quite a bit. I called this Burglar, and let me see if it'll run. All right, so here it's running, and press hit enter to continue. So I practice making ASCII art here. I got my title at the top. It is the middle of the night, and you stand before a small shack of a dirt road in the woods. Type burgle to begin. So burgle, exclamation mark. And I know the text is probably going to be a little bit small. So you have stealthiness, and there's loot that you can carry. So I was figuring out how inventory even works, and I don't think I had managed to be successful with that. Then I was also figuring out how to use like keywords to cause, with like your action, to make keywords in the program cause something else to occur. So I was making these do the next thing. So there's a wooden door, there's a glassless window opening that is shuttered. Where are you gonna go? I'm gonna look at the door because that's highlighted right there. A closer look, the latch is iron and rusty. It might make some sound. Do you want to go to continue with the latch or go back to the window? And so this goes so on and so forth. The latch is going to make sound, and it will reduce your stealthiness. The window will cause less sound, and you will not lose stealthiness. Let's go ahead and do the latch, though. All right, so you can see that status was reduced. So I was learning a lot about this sort of stuff. And then it kind of goes on to what you see on a table. And at that point, I got interested on how inventories worked. So I kind of stopped messing with Burgle, and I moved on to my next little project. And even right now, as I'm recording this, I've only been like aware of C++ code for about 2.5 weeks. So this is still all pretty new. This next program I called Shadow Dark Character Generator because my friends and I have been playing the RPG tabletop Shadow Dark, which is pretty cool. But the way that you develop a character is a little bit different than you would in normal D&D, and you tend to die more often in Shadow Dark. So I was like, I wonder if I could make something quick to roll up a character. And so this really taught me just a lot more about character out, character, not so much character in. And I also learned a little bit about declaring things and identifying things and creating functions and all that. But this is basically just simple math. So if I run this, one of the things I liked about this is I added the suggestion of what class to play based on the numbers that they got out. So if it was a certain, if strength comes out randomly as high, then the program will suggest fighter, right? So here's, and again, this is really small. I don't think the text is going to get any bigger if I raise it up. It won't because it's just console. So yeah, and I'm also, this is just programs and console. So the computer isn't actually drawing anything to the screen. The most I can do is change the color of the font. So with this roll, Wisdom 17, it recommends the priest. And then would you like to roll another character? Yes. And then I get my next character, which is right here. 3, 15, 16, 14, 17, and 9. What a weak character, right? Wisdom with 17, another priest. Let's see if we get a different character. Yes. All right, so we have a 10, 5, 15, 11, 7. Charisma with 18. Talk your way out of combat is my recommendation here because the charisma is so high. So that's the extent of that program, and I thought this was really cool. And at this point, I was thinking, well, maybe I could have my next little project be an old school roguelike where you have your little character move around, but your character is a letter and it runs into other letters. And so that was the extent of my my idea. At that point, I kind of sat on the idea and I didn't do any more. It was Christmas was going on and work and that sort of stuff was wrapping up. So I put the idea to rest, and then I kept kind of thinking about it, and I came back to the idea of trying to keep it super simple because otherwise the project would get out of hand. And I didn't want to do something that had combat because that seemed really complex. And so I figured I would just do, since I like to hike, I would just do a game that kind of represents exploring. And you basically expend energy as you explore, but the exploration inspires you to get more energy and go out and explore other parts of the world, do different hikes, and then and so on and so forth. So that's the basic idea, and I called the game idea Traversal. And it was just the notion of an idea. And at this point, I hadn't even been able to make the computer draw anything but a green square, just a static green square on the screen. I'm not going to go into all the iterations of Traversal because it's still in development. And this is like very early. This is just a vlog to kind of talk about my experiences. But essentially, I've gotten to the point where I have this massive wall of code. And it goes on for about 1,000 lines. And it's ridiculous, and it's confusing, and it's an absolute mess. And most of it I understand. But as I was developing it, I kept running into problems that I didn't know and I couldn't solve. So I did rely on Reddit and ChatGPT quite a bit to help me with the syntax and the formatting and to help me review my code. That helped a lot. And I'm understanding more and more as I'm writing the code and problem solving. And I'm getting to the point now where if there's a problem and I ask ChatGPT, like, what's going on? How can I get this to work? I'm often able to spot the problem before the ChatGPT is. So that just shows that I'm learning, and I think that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and show where we're at in this game. I showed you most of the code here. So this is the game. I was really stoked that I was able to figure out how to draw these texts up on the screen. This is you saw the little title screen, and this is the how to play traversal mode. There's probably some typos in here. I've been working on this like 10-hour, 12-hour days. It's been ridiculous and obsessive for me. So press key to enter. And I'll get to the gameplay here in a second, but some of the things that were really hard to do for me was getting the text to draw to the screen. It would be out of place. It wouldn't be in the window. It would draw weird, and I'm still figuring that out. Most of the time, I'm using a default message sort of system, like a global text system. But so I can hit F1, and my menu comes up with my directions. The game objectives: you acquire more traversal points. See top left of your game window as you play. Use number pad 1 through 9 to move. Find white tiles to build memories. Increase your traversal ability. The way to the next level will open when you have scouted all of this area. I haven't done that yet. That's part of my plan. If you exhaust your traversal points, a recovery team will bring you back to the starting camp. That was a cool idea that I was proud of. I was able to create that function and make it work. Then when you're ready, you can venture back out again. Press any key to continue. Oh, and how about that? The mouse click works. I didn't realize the mouse click would get me out of there. So that's awesome. So now there is no other mouse interaction in this game. As you can hear, nothing is happening. And I guess the only other thing that we need to show right now, I guess I'll show the movement. So every time you move, if you look in the top left-hand corner, it says 3 out of 4, right? So if I move to this green tile, it's going to exhaust my points. So you start off with very few points, and each tile has a certain value. So the gray tiles are like sidewalk, right? The grass tiles are like grass, and then water is blue and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to work on figuring out how to make actual pixels and images generate. But for now, I'm going to take the sidewalk path, and I'm using the number pad to move my character around, so 1 through 9. And like right here, I only have 1 traversal point left. So if I go down, I'm not gonna be able to do anymore, and I will expend all my points, and it'll draw me back to the base. So let's do that, and that's why we get this message. Okay, but you'll notice that as I explore, like if I explore in this top right area, that the map will expand, and even if I go back to base camp, continuing to go out and explore, but we're still at 4 out of 4 traversal points. So if we go back to the directions, it says find white tiles to build memories and increase your traversal ability. So I'm going to go, this is the game part where you have to make sure you're treading carefully and that you don't make mistakes so that you can get to the white tiles. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and use my last point to go down to the bottom, right, to the white tile. And then we get this moment, and this is where the whole memory comes in. You rest for a while and enjoy the scenery. This memory empowers you. You will see a memory fragment. Complete it and hit enter to permanently increase your traversal ability and recover now. So then you'll hit a key and you'll get this prompt on the screen. You remember the tranquility of all the whatever. And I have these little prompts that I handwrite for the different white tiles that you see. So here I'm surrounded by sidewalk and a grass block. So I might say by all of the concrete, then I hit enter. And then you'll notice that now my traversal points my total has increased by 6. That's a permanent increase. And then it also replenished me back up to my full new whole value. So if I hit, for example, F2, which is to recall my memories, this message will come up and it'll complete the thought that you wrote. So you remember the tranquility of all the concrete near the light grass because it's registering adjacent blocks and choosing one to use to finish that sentence. Again, that's something I was pretty proud of, that I was able to do that. And then it shows you how you totally increased your traversal points by 2 from 4 right there. So, and then I can make that menu disappear by hitting F2. And now I can continue to explore the map, right? So I'll be careful. And then I went into the water that was too deep to swim. And so I can't go any farther that way. And this is the size of this map because I really haven't worked on the map. This is the first time I've done anything beyond just a bunch of gray tiles. So I'm going to try to go top left, right? But I'm down to 4 here and I can't go up because that water costs me too much. I can go left and now I'm at 1. So really I can't go up because that costs too much. So this white tile up in the top left, I cannot get to. So I see this other white tile over here that was revealed when I was exploring before, and I'm going to try to get to that to increase my abilities and so that I can reach that one. And this is basically the game loop. So I'm going to take the easy path here. I got 1 point left, and we can do the same thing. And this is the game loop. You remember the view of the mud. I see some mud to the north. So I'm going to do that. And now my traversal points have gone up to 8, like rinse and repeat, right? So I can walk back if I want to, but I'm not going to be able to make it all the way across that water. But I'm replenished here, and now I can go up and make it to this tile. And you remember the way the rabbit swam in that water next to me. And now I'm at 10 traversal points. This is kind of the tutorial. And if I hit F2, I see all my memories are here, right? But let's say I'm not ready to move on to the next level and I want to save my game. So I can hit F5 and press 1 to save, okay? And then let me close it. And I'm going to reopen it. And then hit F. If we go back to the menu, it says F9 to load, right? F9, press 1, and here we are, right? Everything has been saved and remembered. The map is explored to the same amount. And if I hit F2, my memories are saved as well, okay? Oddly enough, it didn't save the rabbit memory. So there's a bug for me to work on. But it has the other two. Let me see what happens here if I try to move. Yeah, something got wrong. I think the game state didn't update because I didn't move. So that's the bug that I need to figure out. That I need the game state to be saved more regularly and not just on player movement, because a lot of the things are based on individual movements. So yeah, that's pretty much the game at this point. Oh, there is this. So the save and the load were insane for me to figure out and understand. It took me a long time. It probably took me 2 days. That was almost the hardest part of this game, figuring out how to code that. And then another part that was really hard in the beginning, because I tried to do it when I first started the game and I didn't understand all the stuff, is the transition to the next level. Now I have it, it works, and I have prompts up, and there weren't prompts before. Yes, I want to go to the next level. I go back to base camp, I load the next level, and then here we are. It remembers my memories, it remembers my stats, and I'm in a blank second world. So I step out into the world, and of course this world is blank because I haven't made the level yet, but it works, and that was the main thing. I think I have one tile. Yeah, I have a yellow tile over here, but I won't be able to reach it because I didn't give myself enough starting. Yeah, so that's it. That's the design. Now, if I did hit that yellow tile, it would just bring me back to the first level. But I can also hit F9 and load and go back to that first level too. What I'm hoping to do is the tile that takes you to the next level will not be able to load unless you've explored every accessible tile on the screen, or at least revealed it, because you have that method when you start a new game. Well, we just saw it before, where you only see the map that's within range, within a certain radius, and I might reduce that to be 1 square away, so it's just the squares around you, or maybe just yeah, I'm not sure what I'll do, and I might make it an actual circle. So that's where I am right now with all my coding experience. That's literally everything. I'm understanding more and more. This has been a really cool experience for me, just on a personal level. I haven't been scrolling on my phone. I've been thinking creatively. My wife probably thinks that I'm crazy because I'm staring at code all day and drawing on graph paper numbers to figure out my level design and all that. But that's where I'm at right now. And I just wanted to record this for my own posterity to look back at what I've accomplished and share it. My next goal, let's see if I can watch this back and see if I meet my next goal. So my next goal is that I want to figure out, and I'm pretty good with images and that sort of stuff, and photo manipulation and drawing with Krita and Photoshop and all that. So what I want to do is create a sprite sheet where the sprite sheet is PNG, and that I can call the specific sections of that sprite sheet to render in the game, so that when right now up here are all my blocks that I have defined, so that instead of pulling a color, so for example, that mud that we saw, right, it pulls this brown color, and then there's some other parameters here. But instead of pulling a color, I want to create a struct that has a pull from the PNG that pulls the pixels from that, and then make it so that the game renders those pixels on every tile where the color is rendering right now. And this way, when you look at the game, instead of seeing these colored squares, you would see whatever image that I drew in that PNG file. So that's my next battle. And I also want to make it so that you can't go on to the next level until you've explored all of the first level. Those are the two things that I'm really interested in doing, and I might stop at that point, or who knows, I might continue to make this. So that's the end of the video. Comment if you like if you do, and thanks for watching.